Hello, hello. How are you?
Hey, good and you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm doing great. It's been a while since I've had to man the console, so I apologize in advance for all of the mess ups that clearly are going to happen today.
Well, you'll do a lot better job than I would. I don't think I would be able to. So. Could have been worse.
uh, yeah, well, it could be better, it could be worse, right? Always, but yeah, no, I'm excited to see you. How's everything going? I mean, we've had a couple of conversations this week, but how are you feeling about Friday and the fact that we've got we've had a pretty busy week down here in South Africa, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sad that it's Friday. Um, it's been a good week, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, very stressful and lots to do, slightly overwhelming, but overall very good and productive and more exciting than anything else, actually. So it's been good, but weekends also needed. But this is the best way to end off the week for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. It's a long weekend in Canada. So some of our Canadian
Oh,
colleagues here that are going to join are going to be probably excited about that. And I'm going to do like a split thing. So I'm actually not taking off Monday, but I'm not going to work the same way I work Tuesday to Friday next week. So I'm not going to, I sort of
okay.
pushed all my meetings back for the most part. And I'm going to spend Monday a little bit more chilled out, probably just do some deep work and catch up on a bunch of stuff on my own. So that's like my favorite thing to do.
Sounds good.
It sounds so like messed up, but like I just love like just sort of zoning out and not having like sort of meetings that I have to be in like back to back and stuff all the time. It's nice to do those, but it's nice to also have like the days where you can just kind of just zone out and just get things done in your own time and own way. Yeah.
I agree. Same with me. Ideally, I would have like certain days where it's just meetings and nothing else, rather than having everything, like mixed in between. So I think
Hmm.
that's a good thing that you're trying to do there. It's not always realistic, but every now and then it's good.
Exactly. I agree with you. It's not always realistic, but when you can get it done, do it.
Yeah.
Take advantage. I can always use the excuse of Labor Day. So
Yes. True.
that's the good news, right? Awesome. Well, we have some progress reports happening today, which is really cool. The EIRs are every week are meeting with us now on Tuesdays and working on the latest and greatest on their projects. And I know there's been some great progress just from the conversations I've had, and there's some really interesting developments with different projects and different teams. So I'm excited to get those updates going. There's one person that he's not going to be joining the call, but he just sent me a message of what he's working on, and he's going to be giving us a pretty cool full presentation next week. That's Hamza and his
Nice.
new subscription manager project. Yeah, so that's exciting. And then I know you've been working really closely with a couple of the EIRs on branding stuff now. That's like a new
Yes.
sort of thing that you've introduced to as an offer for different EIRs if they need it. So how's that going?
Good. I think we are about finalized with Rachel's stuff for Brightly Boxed. I sent over the final versions to her today, so I'm guessing she'll give us her final feedback and thoughts on that. And
Awesome.
then, I'm working with our team at Status and Tula for Herbaceous to just rebrand that a little bit, and also her personal brand, establishing a brand and logo for her own personal brand, which I think is quite cool and exciting. Not something that I've done or any of the other EIRs, so it's quite a unique take on it. So I'm excited to see the progress on it.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, I see that Tula and Rachel are in the back room,
Oh,
so
yes.
they're backstage. They're ready to kind of join us. So we'll probably get started, and we'll just see what everybody's up to. We can have a conversation about it. Let me
Yes.
invite in I'll invite Rachel. Let's first come first serve. So I'll invite Rachel in, and then we'll go from there. I will. Let's make this a little more interesting. Let's see here. Having fun with the backdrops. Why not, right? Hey, Rachel. How's it going?
Hey,
Hey.
I'm good. How are
Nice.
you?
Very good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you
Of
too.
course.
Yeah.
So, how's your Friday going so far? I know it's what 11 a.m.
It
Nice
is.
and
Yep.
still early, but not lunch
Well,
yet. But
yeah.
still early on Friday. How's it going?
Yeah, it's good. I'm actually in Montreal. I'm going to a wedding this weekend. A wedding that was supposed to be last September, because of COVID, it got pushed to this September. So it's quite nice to at least get to celebrate with them. So I'm pretty excited for that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Every time I talk to you, you're in like a different city.
I know.
I'm jealous.
Something wrong. Teach me your ways. I would love to do the same.
Well, it's funny though, because I didn't go anywhere for like a year and a half, like literally nowhere. And then now all of a sudden in the last like month or two, it's been kind of, being all over it.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you're making up for last time. I think all of us want to be making up for last time. Let's put it that way. So you're kind of showing us the way, each week, just pick a different city and you're good. Awesome. So how's your week been with your project? How are you feeling about things? I know there's a couple of things that we worked on together this week, or not worked on together, but we chatted about. But what's going on in your world?
Yeah, it's actually been a really good week, a bit of a whirlwind. Because I was back in Windsor, I was actually able to create a couple gifts for people. So I would actually say, I think I sold about just under $1,000 worth of sales I got this week from gifts. One of them was a corporate client, and she actually referred one of her friends. So it was like just all word of mouth. Like I haven't really been promoting this at all. These are just previous people that I've worked with. So that was really good. So I just had to get it all done, because then I was leaving and I'm like, oh my God, if I don't get this done, like it's just me, right? So I'm the only person that can do it all. But yeah, I managed to get them all delivered, all put together. So it was good.
Amazing. Congratulations. That's fantastic. And it's the best when you have returning customers. Like that's my favorite thing, because it just shows that, you're doing something right. Like you can get somebody the first time with good marketing, but if the product is awesome, they'll come back the next time. So that's really cool.
Bring friends and family with them.
Yeah. Awesome. So how many exactly? Yeah. So how many, Rachel, like to get to $1,000 or around $1,000 in sales? How many packages is that for you? Like typically, like how many units are you selling of the boxes?
So because these were both, actually, all three of them were essentially like corporate orders, those tend to be higher budget. So 3 of them were around like $200 each. One of them was about $150, and then I did 4 more that were a bit less. They were about like $60 each.
Oh, cool. So it's very customized based on who's ordering them. And is it on average, how many products are going in a box set?
So for the really big order, there was a gift certificate in it that was like half the value of the box. So it wasn't actually that many items. It's probably like 5 items in total, but it was like $100 of gift cards. The corporate like employee welcome basket that we do is around like 10 to 12 items. And then the one that was about 60, I think was about like 4 items.
Very cool. Awesome. Very nice. And are you adding any new items to, like, I know a few months ago you kind of shared a lot of the products that you were sort of putting together. Are you continuously adding products, or have you been putting most of your energy and time into sort of the new direction around the technology stuff?
Yeah, I've done more than new direction. Like luckily over the last like 10 months or so, I've been able to work with like so many vendors that I already have a lot of existing relationships with them. They already know me. I've ordered a significant amount from them in the past. So they're a lot more flexible that way. It's not that I couldn't add more items. It's just when you negotiate better pricing, you kind of have to order like a pretty large quantity. Whereas now I can go back to my vendors and say, hey, this time I only need like 5, but I've ordered like 100 from you in the past. So they're more willing to work with you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it is also just very time consuming, right? To create new relationships and pick the items and, make sure they're in stock, make sure it matches with everything. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's a big part of your business. It's a 2-sided business, right? You've got 2 different relationships you've got to build continuously. Yeah. Awesome. And so how's it going with other things, branding? Take us through your branding. Are you sort of getting close to finalizing something? I know you're rebranding to Brightly Box. So how's that going?
Yeah, it's good. So I got the final two logos, as Carla mentioned. So yeah, I guess it's
Mhm.
now just a matter of like picking. I feel like people were torn because the two that I picked that I liked the most, I feel like all the coaches and myself agreed that they liked both of them. So I think now it just comes down to like personal choice.
Mhm.
Which is like, I know I just need to pick, but sometimes it's so hard, right? Because it's like, this is a representation of my business now. It's like a whole new direction. I just want to make sure I make the right choice. But I think I'm pretty close.
Very
Maybe you should
cool.
do like a poll on your Instagram, like just your
Mm.
personal accounts or something, and get insights from other people that know you and your business. It would be quite
Yeah.
cool to see what they have to say.
Yeah, that's actually a
Mhm.
really good point.
Yeah, because it's difficult to choose because I also like both options. So, yeah.
So I don't know if there's a lot you want to say on this topic, but I'm giving a talk in I think month and a half. I was invited to do a talk on venture backed versus customer backed businesses. And I know you're kind of in this place right now where your business is going well as a customer backed business, and you're also looking at potentially, because now you're moving into technology platform, you're looking at theoretically raising some money at some point and maybe going, in that direction to fuel, growth. Is there have you learned anything interesting in the last couple of weeks or whatever on that topic? Is that something that you're taking more seriously as you're starting to build up the technology and starting to sort of see this as more of a scalable project?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like for me personally, just based on like research that I've done and like events that I've gone to and like talks I've heard with other founders, like going the venture backed route is certainly like its own beast.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I think originally I was like, oh, I just don't want to have to do that. But I guess if I'm being realistic about it and I want to build a tech platform, like that's very expensive.
Yeah.
So I might have to. It's maybe not something I would do like right away. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I need to be more open-minded to it. And I think I need to start understanding all the implications of it. Because I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of like startup jargon and like terms and stuff. Like I just learned about like dilutable equity versus non-dilutable equity. And I don't think I fully understood the implications of that until like this week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely been very eye-opening for me. And it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I just need to make time for it to make sure I'm going down the right path like now, so I don't kind of like shoot myself in the foot later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go to that talk actually because I think that'd be like super helpful. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll definitely. I think I'll make sure I share it and I'll put it up in our feed too for on Darkhorse. So anybody wants to check it out. I think it's October 14th. Yeah, but I'll definitely share the link. It's a New York group called Leading Entrepreneur Leaders. I should know this. Oh my God, Entrepreneurs Leading the World or something like along those lines. Anyway, I should really know the name of the series, but yeah. So okay, cool. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, honestly, I've gone through experiences myself where it's not knowing, and it's challenging, right? If you sort of go down that path and you're like, you start to learn on the way, and you've already made decisions. So it's great that you're spending time to sort of really kind of dig into it and figure it out. And there's great resources out there. There's some good books on the topic. There's definitely founders now starting to write about the subject, but I feel like it's still a little bit in the dark, like just sort of like that part of the business. It's sort of almost like, I mean, I did a presentation not too long ago for us that was just very brief, but it was talking about all the different ways to fund your business, right? And I think when you talk to the average founder, there's one way to fund the business. Like, well, there's two. Like, there's well, I'm going to just use my credit cards or what, get a loan or whatever I can do, and then get customers hopefully. And then the other way is like, I'm going to go, pitch an angel investor or accelerator group that's giving funding. And I think that, that's sort of what we're kind of told, like that's a story, that's a narrative, right? But actually it's really funny because very few businesses actually, that's the minority of businesses in both cases, actually. Funny enough, in both cases, the minority of businesses are funding them through their credit cards and, loans, or through, through traditional venture capital at this stage. A lot more businesses now are coming through things like, crowdfunding, crowd equity funding. Crowdfunding is a big piece now. Grants are also, depending on where in the world you are, grants are also a huge piece of the puzzle. And then folks figuring out how to launch the business with like zero debt. That's also very common now. So, it used to be a lot more expensive to launch a business, but now with everything becoming digitized, and actually, even you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, Rachel, about how expensive it is to build out technology, and that's even changing. Now, not to say, depending on what you're building, of course, it still is expensive, but it's become a lot cheaper. And there's no coding, right, which is another big sort of thing that's happening now, where we're getting sort of tools and frameworks and so on, so that we can build functioning applications without learning a line of code or implementing a line of code. In fact, actually, that's Hamza in the program. That's one of his sort of secret sauces for the project that he's working on. I can't say that word ever. Subscription manager. I have to force it out. But basically, he's doing he's actually been exploring all the different no coding sort of technologies, and he found something really cool. He used to do a lot of games. There's actually like no coding sort of frameworks for building your own games, which is super cool. And he started going down that path, and then I think he just found something new. So he's going to, I think, present that next week. But yeah, there's so many options now. That's, like I always say, like, we're kind of living in a world where it's not that there's a lack of information or a lack of resources or a lack of opportunity, but I do think it can be, a lot of things could be either confusing or buried under other narratives or buried under other sort of like common popular sort of frameworks. And so it's good to definitely, kind of look around and make sure that you're always making the right choices. And I have gone the route with a previous company where we raised money, and it definitely is a completely different business, right? It's a completely different way to build a business, and it has its own rules, right? Like you mentioned, very different rules than the rules of a company that is entirely, funded through customer money or through your own money, right? And so understanding what those rules are and who the players are and like how what their incentives all are. Because now it's a business that has shared incentives, right? You've got the investors' incentives, you've got the founders' incentives, and there's a whole ecosystem built around that narrative as well. So I'm very aggressively founders first, my viewpoint. And so probably not as popular with my friends that are kind of on the venture capital side of things. But I do really appreciate the fact that there's so many options now for entrepreneurs. And I think that, that's one really awesome option. The fact that you can actually go out and raise money. And there's angels out there that are ex-founders that have, decided to give back. And then there's venture capitals which manage a lot more money and can provide a lot more fuel when you're growing the business even further along. So it's great that we do have that support system. But again, it's not where the majority of businesses are getting built, even though it seems like it is. If you ask somebody, it's like, yeah, of course, everybody's raising money, but it's like, no, it's a very small percentage of companies that actually are successful, that get launched, are being launched using traditional venture capital in 2021. So it's interesting. I find it fascinating because I'm always just like, I like looking at the numbers and sort of seeing what's going on, but it is fascinating. And like, I'm just super excited about this whole new crowdfunding and like, even the in the crypto space. I know sometimes crypto gets a bad rap with but the whole like tokenizing your business and building out a sort of like a funding opportunity using blockchain. I mean, there's that whole thing, basically doing an ICO or an ITO, initial coin offering or initial token offering. There's that whole world now that's happening, which is super early days, of course. And then there's like the traditional crowdfunding, like we all know Kickstarter and Indiegogo. That's huge as well, massive. You can't underplay that. It's like a big part of the ecosystem now. And then there's crowd equity, which is like smaller investors, micro investors, and then also the traditional investors that maybe are not qualified angels, but they're high net worth individuals that want to get involved and support cool ideas. And they're all jumping into a lot of these platforms too. So really cool times, man. I think it's really interesting to see, all the different ways we can kind of build a business in 2021.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think too, you just have to do a bit of digging to see who even like the right investors might be. Because that's one thing I learned too over studying it, is a lot of investors, and even angel investors too, whatever VC angels, like they'll have like an investment thesis. So it's like, you got to find the people that have the right investment thesis. Otherwise you're kind of just wasting your time. So a lot of it is just understanding even how to approach these people and create relationships with these people. So it's cool though. I like this stuff too. Even just like reading about it, even if I never do it, it's just kind of interesting information because I'm kind of a nerd like that. But yeah, I'm excited.
Very cool. Yeah, you're so right, and that's something I didn't realize either. When you're at first, when you're raising money, it's like you think like every investor is your target, but really, it's actually a very, very small percentage of investors that actually fit your profile. Like their thesis fits your profile, and vice versa. Your sort of ideology or what you're looking for, whether it's a strategic investor or just the cash or whatever, like whether that fits with what you want to do and like how you want to manage your company and your board and, and all that other fun stuff. Right. So you're right. It's actually really interesting because you have to kind of understand that it's not just, one thing. There's a whole bunch of small sort of subcategories of venture capital and all that stuff. And so the one thing that I'll share, just last thing, is maximum optionality is what I always recommend at your stage, right? Like when we're in the earliest stage of our business, I think, and this is my own personal view and other people might disagree, but I want maximum optionality. And so you want to basically make sure that your business is, attractive enough that you can raise money. You want to build it that way. You want to assume that at some point you may want to do that, but you don't want to put any burden on the business that's going to make it difficult for you to make choices as you move forward, right? And until you decide to make a definitive choice, right? And there's like new terms and stuff for that now. Like there's the SAFE model, which means you don't have to fix yourself in it with a valuation, which is cool. That came out of, I think, San Francisco, obviously, where a lot of this stuff comes from. But I think Y Combinator might have been famous for starting that, or 500 startups. But they have the SAFE model, which is now very popular and recognized around the world. So that actually also helps because now you don't have to sort of lock in at, you don't know what your company's worth at this stage, necessarily. And so why pick a valuation and then start, going down that path? Maybe you also don't want to, keep raising money. So now you can as convertible debt, you can take your equity and convert it into debt and pay back your investors with debt, so there's all sorts of fun stuff you can do now, which is cool. It's a pretty sophisticated, situation. Yeah. So awesome. Well, it sounds like you're having fun. It sounds like you're going through a lot of learning, which is the whole point of this, right? Awesome. Anything else you want to share?
No, not really. I don't want to take up too much time. I'm excited to hear what the other EIRs have going on.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Yeah, lots going on with Rachel. It's great to see that she's getting some awesome sales in too.
That's exciting scheme.
It is, yeah. Let me. I think we have Tula in the back here. Let me invite her on. Hey, Tula. Oh, maybe she's not back there. It's just her icon is showing. I think I'm sure she'll join us at some point. But cool. Well, sorry, I'm just looking at who else is joining us. We did have actually a lineup of our EIRs that mentioned that they were going to give an update today. So I guess we're just going to wait until they join. What do you want to talk about? Okay. Let's talk about something fun in our world. I don't know. Why don't we talk about a little bit about what's going on at Status? What are you excited about at Status these days?
What is going on at Status?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
You're the organized one. You should know more than I do.
Well, yeah, it's true. I think we were talking about it earlier, but there's like a healthy balance between us where I try to be organized, but there's the there's the creative chaos that you bring, which is very important, I think, to the energy at Status, which is super cool. And you're also on top of everything. You're way more in the weeds on a lot of the stuff than I am, and with clients and everything, you're like sort of, our account manager, and you're working with production closely. Like, I feel bad because I'm a little removed from some of the action sometimes, but it's great to see how much you're getting done. It's very impressive.
Yeah, it's fun. I prefer rather being all over the place than just like stuck in one thing I have to do or one thing I have to focus on, because I get bored easily. So every day is like something new. Some of the things do stay the same with like client accounts and stuff, but overall constantly changing and challenging me. So that's a lot of fun. And we are growing quite a bit. I haven't spoken to you in like 2 hours, I think, but about 2 potential new accounts that'll be on board pretty soon for us. So
wow.
Along with the team getting bigger, the client accounts are also growing.
Getting bigger.
That's really exciting. Yeah.
That's super exciting. Yeah. So one thing I'm really excited about that I'll share here is it's another narrative. So, I mean, Darkhorse, and we actually have a couple of the ERs just joined us in the back, so I'll invite them on in a second. But just really quickly, I'm super excited about Society for Storytellers, the media sort of presentation that's going to be going online eventually, where we start to share the stories of the brands that, even the ones that we're working with, that are doing some really awesome stuff in sustainability and ethics, and just very progressive brands that are really trying to build a better future and are very mission driven. I love that. And then also the stories of the influencers that are kind of working with brands and are like embracing that lifestyle and sort of championing that lifestyle. So it's going to be really cool to share their stories, and that's happening as part of what we're doing at the agency there. So that's super cool. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I'm very excited, especially about the influencer side, because I've worked with quite a few different influencers before. I think the whole influencer industry, people don't really tend to understand or get what really goes on behind the scenes and how much work it is. Like, it's an actual job for a lot of people, and the amount of hours that go into them having to reach out to brands and content creation, and it's a constant competition between industries. So I'm really excited for more influencers to share their stories on just how they experienced the industry and how they got into it, and staying relevant, because there's so much that goes into it that we don't realize. Like, we just see the post and like or comment on it, but we tend to overlook what goes into it behind the scenes.
Absolutely. It's all the magic, the behind the scenes stuff, the stuff that, whatever they say, the 10,000 hours that you don't see.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are really interested in that. Like, I mean, I know for me, I love the backstory stuff. I love the behind the scenes stuff. I've always said, like, I love, behind the camera, not in front of the camera. Like, that's what's happening there. I want to know all that stuff. Right. So yeah, it's really cool to be able to share those stories, because I don't know if those stories are really shared very much. I think people really see the highlight reel, like, wow, that's amazing that you're an influencer. Like, how did that happen? Or, this is an awesomely successful brand. Like, how did that happen? And you obviously could tell that story and go, well, this is what I did. But it's sort of kind of cool to also talk to folks as they're building it.
Yeah.
And really kind of dig into the weeds, not after they're super successful and known. I think that's something that's going to be really interesting as well.
Definitely.
Awesome. Sorry, I feel bad. I keep cutting you off. I think I got a little delay here, but
sorry, no, it's fine.
Awesome. I'm going to invite Tula into the conversation. I'm going to first warm her up with a little bit of a transition here. Welcome back.
Hey.
How are you? How are you, Tula? I love the hair. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, wow. Okay. There we go.
Nice to see you. Yeah. I like that. I'm loving the braids. Nice.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Looking good, looking good. Nice to see you, and welcome to Friday. Welcome to Friday.
Happy to
So
be here.
yeah, cool. So you've been doing a lot of cool stuff. I've been chatting back and forth with you over the last week or so, and we met on Tuesday. So why don't you share a little bit about what's going on in your world and remind everybody what you're doing?
Okay, no problem. Okay, so it's funny actually that I was thinking the other day that in such a short space of time, I can say that I've pivoted like twice, and the
Yeah.
actual business doesn't exist already. Because
Mm,
initially it was okay, we're doing our own product.
mm,
The initial product was to make kind of CBD candy. Okay, we changed from that to like, okay, let's do a beverage ourselves. That was the plan. And then now we are like, okay, because it's in South Africa and there's still a lot to be done in terms of cannabis education in South Africa. So
yeah.
we moved now to what I feel drop shipping is the best business model that I can adopt at this point based on
Mm,
location and just a general understanding of cannabis in South Africa.
mm.
So
Awesome.
yeah, so sorry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I just said, yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know that's a pretty big, journey. Like quite a couple of pivots in a short amount of time. Yeah.
So on Google Trends, I like searched just cannabis, like where do people actually searching cannabis in South Africa, and it's actually mainly dominant in Cape Town, like
Mm,
not even in Joburg, like it's not that much in Johannesburg anyway, you know? So it's literally in South Africa, it's a Cape Town thing at this point. So it's not
uh,
really wise to make your own product at this point. It's really wise to introduce products that already exist into the market. Hopefully, I'll be able to,
mm,
influence the amount of engagement that we'll get from the other cities and not just it being a Cape Town lifestyle, right? Because I mean, there's a lot of lifestyle benefits that can come with it. So,
mhm,
on that note, now that we're looking at drop shipping, obviously that means I need to find the right suppliers, manufacturers, wholesalers, what it be. So the two ones that I'm going to discuss today, because they are like confirmed and anything and all of that, they are both in Cape Town. So the other one, they have fruit chews, right? So I want to do edibles, right? So a
mm,
store online store that's focusing on CBD edibles. Like I know cannabis is big also on skincare and beauty, but like I think especially because there's going to be a lot of effort from my side in terms of living the brand and advocating for it. I'm not a beauty person. Like it just doesn't, I don't like talking about beauty stuff like makeup and hair routine and face routine. So that's why I was more interested to CBD edibles because I'm sure that I'll
mm,
commit to it and it'll be like I'll be passionate about pushing it and making sure that people can experience CBD edibles. So the
mm,
first that I got that I've got the pricing and they not entirely willing to do the drop shipping. Um, but we're still to have our meeting on Monday. So
mm,
yeah, they have fruit chews. So basically they offer also a retail pack. So the retail pack comes in 10 packs of the fruit chews. So it's like small packets of fruit chews. And then the retail pack has 10 of them. So that's one supplier that I found. And then the other one, they have CBD water soluble substance. So basically, the
mm,
substance can dissolve in water because usually the oils, the normal CBD oils don't dissolve in water. So
mm,
you actually need to take it underneath your tongue, the oil, which is not like nice. So
mm.
I found that it would fit very well into the store that I'm trying because it's an edible store. So you can buy the liquid and then infuse it into your own beverages. And you can infuse it into hot or cold beverages. So I think that's
Uh,
very cool from my side. But also
mm,
at this point, because of finding the right, I mean, a variety of the products is is quite tricky at this point because there's not a variety of suppliers who meet what I would want the store to do. So I was telling Carla also in our meeting that I want to take advantage of the oil because that's the first product that people know and they still trust it. You know, they feel like, okay, if someone has an oil, they kind of know what they're doing because it's been there for a while. So this supplier also, the one that has the water soluble substance, they also advise that based on their numbers, the oils also are very lucrative. So we should also, I should also try having the oils also on the store. And nice thing about them, they are willing to drop ship. So they are willing to take on the drop shipping. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's progress. And
That's
then, so
fantastic.
that's that with the products and the suppliers. I don't know if, but okay, let me just share. And then there's an international supplier, right? They have like a very rigorous like application, not rigorous, but there's so many steps that you need to go through. And I think they're doing it on purpose. Like in one of the videos that I started watching, the ones that you shared, Stack Skills, the drop shipping module.
The training.
So,
Yeah.
So in one of the lessons, he was basically explaining that the minimum order amount and the signing up an account is usually just for the manufacturers to chase away people who are just customers who just want lower prices. So I think that's what this supplier is doing, because I registered a wholesale account, so you're able to buy wholesale things on the website. But then if you want to have drop shipping, you need to like register again, and they need to allocate a specific business manager to you at your account before you can actually start importing the product. So at this point, I have access to the wholesale. So I saw the prices. Apparently, the prices are same between wholesale and drop shipping. It's just that drop shipping, you just need to have this extra process of saying, no, I want a drop shipping account with you guys, and they give you a particular person who's going to be your contact with that supplier. So I'm very excited about that. So we're still waiting for them to respond to the dropshipping registration and then have the onboarding call with the manager. I would really love that to work out as well, because they have amazing beverages and cookies. Like they have nice brands. They have really nice brands on their platform.
Amazing. I'm really excited for you, first of all. So awesome work and great traction on that. One of the things that we talked about, Tula, when you first started working on it, is that, your ambition eventually is to have your own sort of custom branded and packaged products. And I actually think that that's an amazing ambition, and that should not be given up. Like that, that vision should actually be the North Star for everything you're doing here. But the cool thing, what I love about the direction you're taking now, is you're going to be able to sell something that's already really cool, really awesome, start to build those customers up. And then when you are ready, you can introduce them to your own custom products and as well. And the great thing is that you can actually pay for all that customer development through customer funding, right? So you don't have to wait to raise a bunch of money and try to convince somebody that your idea is going to work. It's already working. You've got customers, and then as soon as you complete your first products, you also have an amazing test group, right? Like all your existing customers, you can ask them, hey guys, I have this new idea. What do you think about it? Would you like to try it? Of course they would. They already love you. They love the brand. So it's like the perfect on-ramp for your own ideas in the future, and you're learning all about what their tastes are. So you can also craft the product to not like. We talk about personas, which are like this. We create, actually, one of our ERs is going to share her persona today, which is basically when you start you can have a persona anytime in your business, but the idea would be that if you don't have a customer yet, you create your avatar, you create your like ideal customer on paper. Like you try to really understand their interests and all that stuff. But that's good. But what's better than that is actually having a customer, right? And having that customer basically, tell you what they love, right? And then you can build the product for them. So you're going to actually have that advantage when you start to build your own product out. So great job. I'm really proud of you. Yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you, Emery. So that's like part one of my feedback. So that's on the product side. And then I also
Awesome.
had a meeting with Carla in terms of like, actually before I get there. So for all the EIRs that might be also doing the drop shipping model, or so there's this popular so it's like a marketplace for the manufacturers. So it's an app. You register an account on the app, and then you have a list of products and suppliers, and it's literally so easy. You just click a product and you import it into your store, and then it goes to your store and all that. So, but like that supplier I wasn't able to use because it's not like focused on CBD. There's a whole lot of great products in other categories, but CBD, it's not very mature, the suppliers that they have on their platform. But I'm happy that I discovered them because they have it's called Obelo. So and they use AliExpress, I think, mainly to find the suppliers. And they have this awesome platform on Instagram and YouTube. Well, YouTube most of the time, Instagram it's just teasers and stuff, and then you usually get redirected to their YouTube page. But they have like amazing content that they put up, about, and they also have a podcast. It's called Start Your Own. So it's case studies of people who started their dropshipping businesses, very practical, and they're very like open about the whole journey, like 10 mistakes to avoid when you're about to start dropshipping. Every month they have a feature of like the hot products that are selling on their website. So it's a very helpful platform where you can, familiarize yourself with dropshipping and what to avoid, and just the reality of it, because it really sounds too good to be true. It sounds like, okay, it's easy money, but there's still work that you put in, right?
There's still a lot of work there.
There's still a lot
of work. Can you explain, Tula, what dropshipping is for anybody that doesn't know? I mean, a lot of us, I think, maybe in the industry know, but if I was listening to this for the first time and maybe I'm not familiar with different business models in retail, what is dropshipping? Can you maybe share a bit of your understanding of it with people?
Sure, I can. So basically, dropshipping is you have a platform, right, where you market a product, but this product doesn't belong to you. You don't own the product, right? You create visibility for the product. Now, where do you get the product? The product comes from a particular manufacturer or a supplier, right? But this manufacturer or supplier is responsible for fulfilling the order. So fulfilling the order, I mean, they are responsible for making sure that the order goes from the supplier to the customer, right? But they get this order from you because you have the platform and you do the branding, you do, the visibility, or you are in that particular market. So for manufacturers, it's like, okay, they want to focus, I remember how you always speak the maker versus manager thing. So the manufacturers just want to make their product,
That's right.
And they might have good products and the products are not getting to the right people, or they're not getting out in the numbers that they would want to, right? So then that's where you will leverage in and have this platform where you focus specifically on getting the product out there. So with me, using me as an example, cannabis and CBD, I think for South Africa, it's a great opportunity to educate and to market it, because I mean, for a manufacturer, big scale manufacturer, just getting to South Africa and just producing cannabis products might not be the best option at this point. So I think it would be great testing ground for them to work with dropship. I mean, someone who has an e-commerce store that's focusing on cannabis.
Yeah. That's a great explanation. That's an excellent explanation. Yeah, thank you. Very, very, very thorough. Awesome. Well, congratulations. I am very encouraged by all the progress you're making in a very short amount of time, actually, because you just pivoted recently. So that's it's really impressive. It's really impressive to see all the momentum you're already getting. And I know you're starting to dig into figuring out, what your store is going to look like and all that good stuff and some branding stuff. I know you've been having some conversations with Carla. So awesome work, awesome job. Yeah, really impressive. Yeah. Congratulations on, we have to celebrate these little things. We have to celebrate the in-between stuff because everybody's waiting for the exit. But I'm like, no, wait a minute. Like, you better enjoy the journey, right? So I'm really, I can see that you're starting to figure a lot of stuff out, which, is making you passionate. It's making me excited and passionate, and Carla too. So yeah, awesome work.
So now I'm going to order the water soluble thing myself, because that's one of the advice that I found on the Obelo platform. Like, it's repeated in a lot of their content that you need to experience the product yourself. Like, yes, you're not the one who's going to deliver, but please experience the product yourself. So I'm going to be ordering the fruit juice and the water soluble thing as a customer, and just experience it yourself. So yeah.
And you get to experience also delivery times, to South Africa. There's lots of details there. How it comes in the package. Does it come, beat up, or does it come in a nice package? Like, all these little things that are details that you want your customers to also experience. So yeah, it's a great idea. It's also makes you the expert, because if you're using the product and you like the product and love the product, and you also can use it as content, right? Because you can talk about, you can do the unboxing, you can talk about, what you like, what maybe things that you'd love to, see improve on the product. Even that's really important, right? And people will love the honesty of like, hey, the person selling me this is actually giving me the full story. So yeah, I'm excited to see what your next week's progress is going to be, and what you're going to be telling us.
Sure thing. Me too.
Awesome.
I'm sure by next week we'll have a new name and logo and everything ready for you.
Nice.
I'm ready for the name, Carla.
Nice.
At least the name.
To be determined. TBD, right? If you don't come up with a name, yeah, exactly. It's TBD. If you can't come up with a name, that's what we're calling you.
Okay, guys.
Awesome. Okay, have an awesome weekend ahead, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend too.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye. Very cool. Hey, we have a coach that just joined us in the back, and Shamsia is about to join us, but I'll bring Susahash on first so he can say hi and let us know how he's doing, and then Shamsia will be right in. Oh, actually, Shamsia, I brought you on first. Things are moving around in this back office here, and like I'm not like Paul. I'm not very good at this stuff yet. So
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah,
can hear you. That's the good thing.
Yeah, which is great. I'm actually going to just hey, how's it going?
Hey.
So very good, thanks. Very good. Yeah, nice to see you both, and happy Friday to everybody. And it's been a good week for many of us, I think. Hopefully all of us. How are you? Well, first of all, let's I want to find out how Shamsi is doing and what she's working on, and then maybe after that we can talk to Susahash about his world, because everybody's always curious what does Susahash really do? Like, he says he's a developer, but what is he developing? And I'm sure he's going to tell us some stories at some point about all the stuff. I actually know many of the things he's working on, and I'm like always, it boggles my mind how many things he could like be building at one time. It's very impressive. I know you have a team, but still you're kind of leading the charge, so to speak. So, but before we get into all that, let's talk about Shamsia, because she's got some pretty awesome stuff that she's been working on, and I met with her on Tuesday this week, as we always do, and I'm really encouraged by what she's building, and she gave us an amazing presentation last week. So Shamsia, take it away. What do you? How's the week been? How's things been going with your project?
It's been intense since Tuesday, and I was like, okay, there's quite a lot of work to do, and I was thinking I have to finish the course by Friday. So the course the stack skills, but quite impossible to do that. But there's some amount of videos that I was watching. So for people who don't know, it's a Shopify course that Emery just sent a link to me, and it's an amazing resource. and there's so much to learn. And I think Tula also can, talk a lot about it. So yeah, yes, it's been a very progressive week since last Friday, because I think we are adding on things very systematically. Last week, we spoke specifically about the supplier research that I was doing. And then now, this week was completely about drop shipping, sourcing, and there was so many challenges, and I'm still trying to figure out. Seems like Tula has figured out everything, and it was amazing hearing. It was amazing actually hearing a version of drop shipping, because in my mind, it seems like a little more complex than what she was speaking about. There's a lot of challenges. I think I'll just unpack a little bit here, a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah. So so we first talked about, so this week was all about, Shopify and WordPress. I started understanding what Shopify is. WordPress, I have initially done a little bit of research. It's more like they're the same platforms, but they work very differently. And Shopify is very commercial. WordPress is more, it's different. I feel like it's more academic, and Shopify is more out there, and, there's a lot like retail stuff happening there. And drop shipping is something that is so complex, because there are challenges when it comes to drop shipping with subscription boxes, and then you have drop shipping with subscription boxes and with edibles. So these are the things that I have to understand how I can work and fit all of that together. Because if you're just talking about drop shipping, yes, there is a simple model. But then if you're talking about subscription boxes, how are you going to integrate that into the model with edibles? Because not many drop shippers are comfortable with, edibles being there. Yes, and it's quite risky. And, you as a person, you have to be sure that the quality and the safety. And there's some very responsible suppliers and manufacturers who are like, what, this stuff has to be frozen. So I don't think, this is going to work for you. So some people are responsible enough to tell us that, but on the other hand, not everyone can. So there's so much we have to understand. And there are no established models, because it's so new. So if we are to actually make this work, probably we'd be someone pioneering this and, building this would be something of an example, and we would set, document it for others to follow. So this is we have to put in the work. So there's a lot of research. Yeah. So you did signpost me to Zendrop, and I did a little bit of research about Zendrop, and it looks good. But again, for Canada, I don't think it works. There's not much of again, that's another challenge. So you have Canada, and then you have subscription boxes, then you have drop shipping, and then you have edibles. So you need to find something that really fits, or integrates all of these 4 challenges for me. Zendrop is very good, and I hope we can, see if it can work with Canada. But there's something called White Box in Canada that, they have their own fulfillment centers. They're more, working on the same platform as Zendrop, but it's closer to home, and they have a very good website, and, just trying to see how they are, but it's mostly retail, or, not stuff like, food, like something that degrades or composts. So something that wouldn't have strict regulations around it. So I'm just looking at White Box right now. Have you heard of White Box?
No. What's their website?
1 second. Okay, it's just called White Box. Yeah, it's just a fulfillment center. It sells and moves products with White Box direct to consumer services.
.com or .ca?
Okay,
I see .com.
I think it is.
It looks like it's
.com.
.com. Yeah,
.com.
it looks like it's .com. Yeah, very cool. I'll throw it up for anybody who's looking to check it out.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
So they have like an established system, and they kind of work with Amazon, Walmart, Shopify, and other like Costco, Home Depot. And they also work with some small businesses. So I need to understand if, is this something what, we can work with, or, if this is something that suits what we are looking at. And there's this whole thing about sourcing again, right? Finding the right, like you said, third-party logistics. I think Whitebox is a platform like that, because if you're drop shipping, you get your commodity from the manufacturer, and then you get these people to, pack it for the customers, because you are getting products from, 3-4 different places, and then they send it. So there's another company called LeCac, I think that's how you pronounce it, LEKAC. They talk about sourcing and they talk about packaging, but I am not very clearly, I'm not understanding exactly what they do. But they are a third-party logistic platform as well, and they are here based in Ontario. Have you heard of them?
I have heard of them. Yeah, so they're like, they do custom packaging and different things like that, right?
But they even talk about sourcing and product sourcing, and they do all the, apparently they get all these suppliers and they vet them and, see if they're, so they really kind of like ease the work for small businesses, so the small businesses can just focus on the product and, sending it out.
Amazing.
So,
I didn't know they did so much things, but yeah, I'm familiar with part of their business model, but that's even better. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something I was just reading up and trying to figure out. It's going to be like a challenge, at least for Haven, because we are dealing with edibles and with all the regulations that have to be followed. Trying to find the right model and create the right model ourselves. Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? It's like a puzzle, right? In the beginning, when you're just like looking at all of the different pieces and like how do they fit together in, to give you like the total solution. And you're right. I mean, it's different depending on where in the world you are. I mean, there's South African challenges, there's Canadian challenges. If you're in the US, I'm sure there's different things you're going to be worried about. So it's a journey. It's a journey,
and that we do not have like fixed models to look at, and we just have to do this ourselves. Is something that is quite exciting and also quite a privilege, I think. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm excited to work with you on it. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, you are making progress, and it sometimes doesn't feel like it because you're like, well, I haven't completely decided on anything yet. But all of this stuff, this is why entrepreneurship is, not for everybody, frankly, but because all of this stuff is, part the learning that you're getting here, you can't learn anywhere else. It's not academic. It's like you're in. You're basically right in the weeds right now, figuring like very specific things out that are going to be required for you to be able to deliver something that's exceptional to a customer, right? And so it's and I mean that learning is invaluable for you, and just sort of in the beginning it feels a little bit like certain things you don't understand, but then eventually it's like you understand everything and you just take it for granted, right? But yeah, no, it's great job. Congratulations on the progress, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next evolution.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Just trying to piece it together and really get it to the people. That's what it should be soon.
Well, the mission's there. I think the passion's there. The capability is there. So now it's just a matter of just piecing it together and figuring out what's that first version of the product will look like. Very similar to what Tula's dealing with in South Africa. So Canada and South Africa are in very good hands, I think, from these conversations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll see you. I think. Well, we'll see you definitely on Tuesday, and obviously we're always hanging out together in Slack. So we'll see you soon.
For sure. Take care.
Awesome. Have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome long weekend. Happy Labor Day.
Sure.
Take some time off on Monday and relax.
Sure. Thank you. See you all again. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. We've got a surprise guest here. Haven't seen this young man for a little while, but here he is. How's it going, brother?
Every once in a while, I give you a hard time about running the technical aspect of this, and for some reason, the best way to get to you is through Carla. But no, I'm doing good. I'm happy it's Friday this week. It's been a bit of a long one, but always happy to be here.
Awesome. You know what? It has been a long week this week for me too. I feel like it's been a marathon. Like I've been doing a lot of late nights. Haven't been sleeping as well as I normally do, and I don't know if it's stress more than like hard to turn off. because there's so much stuff going on that you're just thinking, and then it's like, okay, well, I need to stop thinking so that I can actually sleep because I have to get up in a few hours. It's like one of those things.
Yeah.
But I know you guys are going through a lot of crazy stuff too. How's it going now that we have both Sus and Paul on? How's it going with different projects? How are you guys doing with? I know you've got some folks raising some money. You've got some folks building out some cool tech. What's going on in your worlds?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great descriptor since we're under NDA. This is going to be just a super exciting conversation. Emery, thanks so much for asking. We are absolutely building pieces of technology. Technology is good. Some of them also integrate with other pieces of technology. Super interesting stuff on this side. They also sell products. Big fan of those. Yep, that's about all I've got.
Okay.
Susahosh, is that an accurate assessment of what we've been up to this week?
Don't worry, no
Yeah,
one
and
really
then I
watches
think
the
the only
same
thing I would add is
Hashtag
the
stealth
lack
mode.
of sleep.
Hashtag stealth mode.
Well, that's it, and like a lot of my lack of
and by
sleep
the way,
comes from.
Emery, I was gonna ask Emery, like, what is sleep? Like, what is long weekend? Like, I'm just trying to figure that out.
What is a long weekend, right? Yeah, but let's pull Tula back on. She could tell us long weekend. Yeah, we can break it down.
Yeah, because I know I'm super busy, and I slept maybe like 3 or 4 hours in the last 48 hours, and yeah, I know I'll not be sleeping much for the next 2 days. So like, yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we have to figure out how to clone you, man. That's pretty much the only thing that's
it.
going to work.
That's pretty much it.
Where's
Our
CRISPR,
next
guys?
project-
CRISPR. Where's our CRISPR project? Yeah, like let's clone Susash over here.
Yeah, there's nothing like wanting companies that cost $4 million to even theoretically get a proof of concept out there. Be like, no, it's like CRISPR, it's fine.
We need like 4 like clones of all of us. I think that's what we need.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
In our lifetime, I want to be able to clone myself. And then
Yeah,
this,
but-
yeah.
I was gonna say, but on another note, things have been pretty awesome over here. I know that we've got a deal that we're just setting up. Actually, I think I've got a walkthrough and a demo later today about stuff for Darkhorse companies as well. That I know I mentioned to you that you might have forgotten about like 4 months ago. Finally got it done.
Oh,
so
cool.
it's more resources. It should be free for everyone that's part of the program, and it should help immensely. And since we don't officially have access, it is also under NDA now that I'm halfway through my thought process. So yeah, excellent things coming. I apologize. This has been like the least interesting set of conversations I've had recently, I think, especially on stream of like, I actually just can't talk about nearly as much. But no, everything... We're doing great over here. We're not sleeping, but we're busy. Everything's going great. I know that M's helping us with marketing on a couple of our companies that are fantastic, and we're big fans of. So I'm super happy to kind of go through the details and give a bit of an explanation and stuff of those once they launch a bit closer to October.
Yeah, I'm really excited for a couple of the projects that I've been fortunate enough to be part of. Yeah, it's been fun. The team over at Space Age have really loved working with you guys on those things as well. So it's very motivating.
Awesome. Yeah, well, and it's always easy whenever we do this kind of thing together, Em, and you've been consulting and being a creative director on our side, and like all sorts of back and forth, right? But it's always nice when we bring startups in, and like of course the team is a representation of you as a person, right? Like I have to be significantly less concerned that you have good taste in people. Do you ever have that really awkward sort of conversation of like finally talking to someone like, oh, I've been good friends with them, they've always been there for me, or like the people they work with are just shit, and I don't know how to have this conversation. Thankfully, we're not there, but it's always nice that your team's a reflection of you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, the biggest example of that is Carla, for sure. I mean, it's she's a better avatar than I am of like the passion and the energy that we bring into the work, for sure. But
so what I'm saying is I'm
like
working with the wrong marketing guru.
Yes, pretty much. That's exactly what I was saying. I'm sort of like Yoda at this point. I'm kind of like you've got what's her name? Oh my god, I forget the Ren. I was going to call her Ren, but it's not Ren. The girl from is it Ren? From the latest Star Wars? Yeah, thank you. Okay. You've got Ren in front of you. So, Yoda over here can, sort of retire soon. But
See, and I'm sitting here with the image of like Carla running up the mountains of South Africa with you on her back, just true to the original trilogy, and like it's hilarious. And I'm a huge fan of this metaphor now.
That's a good one. That's my mind now.
That's awesome. It looks like we have Hamani actually that's joined us. Hi, Hamani.
Awesome.
I'm going to invite her in when she turns her camera on, because I've learned the hard way that people want to see people's faces when they're on live streams for some reason. I don't know why. But here she comes. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Very good. Very good. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday to you guys.
Yeah. And so how's life treating you these days? What's going on? Anything exciting? Either something you want to share personally or something you'd like to share with business? Or both?
Yes. Could I share my screen for the
Oh yeah. We're just
YouTube
gonna jump right
channel?
into it. Let's do it. Awesome. Let me actually, you can share your screen, or you can send me something, but I think you can share. You should just be able to click the share button, and I will let it be. As soon as it shows up, I'll make sure it shows up. There we go. Oh, well, once you've got it loaded. Again, I'm not Paul with this stuff. I'm way too eager to get stuff on the screen before it's ready. I'm not taking my time.
It's so tough making it look effortless, Emery. It's
I know, it is.
That I've developed over literally hours of work.
I can just see like the joy in your face when you see Emery struggle with it.
And it's one of those things. It's not even because I think that I'm good at it. I think it's just I genuinely enjoy watching Emery struggle, and like it doesn't even matter the medium at this point.
Well, touche. Yeah, touche.
Hey, I know it goes both ways, Em. It's all good.
Yeah, it does. It's love. It's love both ways. Absolutely. So Hamani, if you can't get your share screen going, you can just mime it to us today. That's an option. You can sort of like use hand gestures to talk about anything. That's what I do when things aren't able to be presented. I'll just use my
improvise.
I do finger puppets. So what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I think she's frozen.
Yeah, she's just
Hamani, come back to us, please. This was the mistake was I started talking about Star Wars, and then now the Force is strong on the screen, and it's frozen everything. I'm gonna actually remove Hamani, and then I'm gonna bring her back in. Let's see if that works. She's gone. Okay. Well, now the feature is Susash. This is like one of those like musical tables or musical chairs. So anybody that gets in the big screen has to like entertain us.
Oh, that's how it works, eh? Because if you want to set that precedent, Emery, I'm happy to go by this.
Yeah, I'm starting something that I'm maybe gonna regret. I think.
Continuity is important, and we have to do things the same way, even when you don't have control.
I feel like Big Brother, from 1984. Like I'm the big screen.
It's like the showcase. Exactly. It's like we're supposed to be on. We're like the Dragon's Den on this side. We're gonna have to grill you on your idea. So tell us one of your ideas that you've not launched yet, so somebody else can go launch it for you. Tell us about it.
My idea that I have not launched yet is the CRISPR thing.
The CRISPR thing, cloning, yeah. It's
investment, initial investment at I don't know, 10%, $100 million valuation. There you go.
10%, $100 million. So I only have to bring in $10 million to get into this awesome deal, and then you can clone me, And that's all I need to come up with, so you can clone
That's
me.
all you need, and then you can have as many Emeries as you
How long do I have to wait? Is there any guarantees you're baking into this deal?
startup Emery. Of course, there's no guarantee.
Of course not, right? You might just take the 10 million and retire. Who knows, right? Yeah.
No,
well, I wish
we'll
I had it to give you, my friend.
We'll be spending it wisely.
I mean, let's be honest. If you had the money, that's a really shitty investment on your end, Emery, and I would have to advise you against it. It's just like, hey, Susahosh, how much experience you with CRISPR? It's like, well, I can spell it, and I'm sure that I've Googled something about it. I've seen articles. Yeah,
DNA, that is, precisely making genetic modifications and something along that line.
I remember when I learned about DNA from the introduction to Jurassic Park 2, man. And I mean, I'm not sure that justifies a $100 million valuation.
Well, Susash is smart, though, because he knows the math. And he's like, I can hire a lot of people with a $100 million valuation and $10 million in the bank. So I can just hire some people that know how to do this stuff. And I can just sit back.
What reminds me of is actually Theranos. And they have like, what, $10 billion like valuation.
That's right.
They failed. That's insane. So it's not about money, it's about innovation. It's sometimes you have to have that, like, the spark. Otherwise, I think that's key. Like, without spark, you have to money doesn't solve everything.
Yeah, unfortunately, that would be nice if it did, but clearly on this planet it hasn't solved everything. It definitely hasn't. We've had lots of money come through the planet and not everything's solved yet, so it's quite interesting. Well, it looks like Tula just bailed. I think she just said, "Forget these guys and girls." I'm fed up with this bad introduction that Emery pulled me into. Didn't even put me on the right screen at first, and then tried to put my PowerPoint up without it being ready.
Only if we had Paul to do this.
Well, you know what? It's Paul's fault.
I'm off raising money for companies like an asshole, Susahosh.
Well, why didn't you tell your investors that you had you had a show to run and you're a producer more than you are at this point a fundraiser, and so they would understand. I think they would have understood.
To some extent, I think that there's still like the bits and pieces of the old legacy fundraising kind of methodology. Like back when the Valley started in the 90s and there was tons of money around, it was really a you do it on our terms or not at all kind of mentality, right? And I think for some events or some investors, that's still the case. So it's just like, oh, I have something. It's just like, yeah, well, that's the only time I have available. The next time is in like 6 weeks. It's like, it's 20 minutes, man. Like, fuck.
Yeah, it is weird. I feel like we need to blockchain all of the investors onto, and then we can just sort of put them in their block. It's like, okay, and we just have like auto scheduling. It's like, okay, you're just showing up and just put everything, just get all this. Yeah, you're right. There's a bit of a ceremony there that I've never really understood. It's like, what are you guys doing though when you're not in these meetings with us? I'm not going to knock on investors because at some point I'll may have to raise money in the future, but I am gonna riff a little bit on investors. It's like let's stop with the ceremony. Just show up at the meeting and let's just make this happen.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, right? So there's sort of two different philosophies as it sits now, and both of them have fantastic solutions. One is anything data driven. So if you're a pre-seed company, you don't have revenue, and you're sort of raising on a vision, a methodology, partnerships, letters of intent, that kind of thing. You have to kind of sell that, because if you look at trying to quantify it with data, then you can't really do that. However, if you have revenue, platforms like ClearGo, formerly ClearBank, Coral, there's a ton of data-driven platforms that literally will lend money based off of what your revenue looks like, what are your expenses like, all of the data that's associated with it. And it's entirely free of human kind of intervention at that point, because it's all based on data. So if you have the KPIs for that, cool. Like, absolutely. Like, the models are fantastic. But if you've got a wine and dine, or if you're new, and you don't have sort of as much as you're looking for, or if you're starting to raise more than a pre-seed round, so more than about $200,000, it comes down to people is usually the big thing. Like, a lot of the pitches have less to do with what the product is, and it's how good the entrepreneurs are. in my opinion. And the only way to do that is to sit and have conversations. Like investors that we're having for one of our companies, we've been having conversations for 4 months. We were mid build, we hadn't done anything, like we had minimal traction at best, but it's all relationship building. It's get to know us, get to know how we operate, what we do. Here are our monthly updates, and it turns into this whole process. Like raising money is a colossal pain, and it is massively time consuming. So I mean, for companies that need to do it, cool, but don't if you don't have to. Is generally the way that I do it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at the Facebook feed while we're chatting, and I apologize, Tula. I blamed you on leaving the meeting, freezing, but you actually were not. You actually were flawless in your in your meeting. It was I threw the wrong ear under the technology bus, because we all know that Hamani completely controlled her internet situation. She has full control over the packets of data that's flying up and down when she's on this call, right? But I'm sorry, Tula and Hamani. Next time we're going to get you back on here, and we're going to Susash is going to send you 5G. So you're going to be like one of the first to pilot it on this show, and we'll make sure that you're able to tell us what you're up to at that point. But I think it's good. We got a couple of good updates today, and I'm excited about the progress we're making.
Awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of drop shipping is the theme, which I like, because I think that again we can start there. It's a good starting point for a lot of these projects. I think one thing in this journey that we've sort of seen is that a lot of these projects are going to take time to kind of get to the true vision that everybody has for them, but we need a starting point, and I think we've come up with some pretty cool ones. So I'm excited.
I think there's a lot of just not to toot my own horn too much here, Emery, but I think that there's a lot that gets taken for granted in terms of sort of the space that I exist in terms of operations, in terms of supply chain and logistics, and processes in general. When it comes to a business, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'll just order stuff from this factory somewhere, and then it'll end up here, and I'll be fine. And there's literally like a dozen steps that happen in that time. There's import licenses, you have to deal with freight forwarders, you have to deal with shipping and logistics and insurance and all. Like, understanding what the steps are for your individual business. Like, it's super hard to do it from scratch, especially when you have a product that you're not 100% sure of yet, that hasn't been tested. You have to source things from all over the world. Like, there's sort of consistent challenges. It's not like, oh, well, if you get this one thing, everything will run smoothly. It's like, no, like everything kind of sucks to put together. But if you do it properly, if you take the time, if you do your vetting, if you kind of understand what's actually happening, what's required, it becomes a transferable skill. And one of the things that you and I talked about, I think all of us talked about actually, very early on, was the idea of entrepreneurship being a transferable skill. So when you build sales plans, marketing plans, when you have this understanding, when you build a bullseye, the bullseye doesn't matter. Like, it is irrelevant to your company. The marketing bullseye will always give you the same fundamental information, the same way that if you figure out how to sort of establish a supply chain and be able to have those conversations or deal with manufacturing, once you sort of understand how all of that works and you can put all that together, you kind of have that skill set now. And sort of entrepreneurship as in sort of its entirety is just a accumulation of a bunch of different skill sets. And it's having an understanding of, 100 different things in order to make any business kind of function and turn around. But it's also why I don't understand a lot of business. It's because I just haven't existed in this space, and I have no reason to know that. But if you go through like my work history, I can tell you exactly how, video games work, or how consulting and software dev work, or, whatever it is. It's just sort of this accumulation of knowledge and understanding. As a side note, fun fact of the day, that's also why some investors have an issue. God, Emery, come on.
Sorry.
It's also why some investors have an issue with first-time founders. It's strictly because failure leads to more development, leads to more understanding, and they much rather prefer people that are seasoned or that have all of the background on it. It's really hard to find, first-time founders that are overly successful. Most of them have a track record, or most of them come from professional organizations, or most of them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Like, it's all It's all just justification. It all makes sense. Keep learning. I guess my very long tangent here is just keep learning everything you can about what you're doing. I'm glad now I'm in the spotlight seat. Thanks, Emery. In conclusion, as sarcastically as possible now.
Was that I have to just be very quiet.
I just did that because I wanted.
That's it. That's how you get out of it.
I just wanted to zoom in so I could see, a little bit more details of the ship. So I was like, before we leave for the weekend, I want to make sure I have that memory, and that's
absolutely.
All. Otherwise,
See, because
there
I've
you
got
go.
the Star Wars down there too. Anyone that's a Warcraft or video game fan, I've got my Doom Hammer down here. Big shout out. I've got a StarCraft noob up there as well, and Leonard Nimoy, of course, as the fantastic bobblehead that he is.
Can you do a presentation next Friday for the folks, and you can basically talk about first of all your traumatic childhood, and then how all of the things from there were carried into your adult life, and then you can do like a show and tell.
You know what the funny thing is too is like. I almost wish you were more wrong than you currently are. Like I feel like once you get into an analysis mode, like as soon as you start tracking things, it's like, oh fuck, that's been there a while. But yeah, I think that it's also super important to kind of look at and understand, entrepreneur journeys. That's why some interviews are fascinating with people that have built companies. And like, I'm not talking about, billion-dollar companies, because like there's a level of eccentricity and luck that's involved with those. I mean, like the people that build like, companies that do $1 million or $5 million a year in revenue, like it's genuinely interesting to understand where they came from and what they did. Granted, that is not me. I do not have a company that is generating $5 million in revenue right now. But like just over the course of it, like, there's usually a reason why most things happen. Yeah. Well, you're on route to 5, right? Or 10, or whatever. What are you chasing? We're doing fine.
Yeah. Nice. First step, get pay the bills. Then we're good. We're in business, and then from there, everything else is gravy. Everything else is good.
And it's so funny because I feel like my goals have changed consistently. Because when I was younger and I was starting a business, I was like, you know what? I just want beer money. Like I just want to be able to go out. I want to order pizza when I want to, and I want to be able to afford a couple of pints at the bar. Like that was kind of the start of it, and it just kept kind of evolving as it went along. It's like, oh well, now I want to buy a car, and it's oh well, maybe I should look at getting a mortgage at some point, or like maybe I want to go on a vacation, and like just it was always constant like short, medium, long term goals about what I wanted to go, and it all kind of started with me just wanting to drink.
Most good stories start with just trying to figure out how to get another drink in. So
I was 19. I didn't know anything. I was a dumbass.
What do you mean? I mean, go watch Netflix tonight. You'll see that's actually it's timeless. It doesn't matter how old you are. It starts with a good drink. Usually at a bar.
Unfortunately, but like even my alcoholic preferences were garbage back then too. Like I wasn't even a real person. Like, I might have hit puberty when I was, like, 13 or 14, but I don't think I became an adult till I was, like, 27.
I'm still working on it, man. I'm in my 40s at this point. I'm still working on it. So, good luck.
Man.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Just as a side note.
Yeah.
Special shout out to my partner, Kate, who lets me send her Nerf guns that I think are a great long-term investment for us as a couple.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Well
That's
done.
awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, look, I want you to get a little bit of a head start on the weekend. It looks like we've got all the EIRs that are coming in
awesome.
To give their reports. And it's been awesome hanging out with you guys as always. And looking forward to Paul's story next week.
Fantastic. Look forward to it.
Awesome, guys. Okay. Nice seeing you both. Both. I can't count today. Nice seeing all three of you. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.